It gives me great pleasure to introduce our first guest speaker today, a really special guest speaker. His story is a powerful one on the importance of inclusion in sport. It stretches from Iraq all the way to Croke Park. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to extend a very warm welcome to Zak Moradi.
I'll keep this short. My name is Zak Moradi. I am originally from Kurdistan, and many of you be thinking, where is Kurdistan? There's 40 million of us, close to 50 I say at this stage. We're divided between Iraq, Iran, Syria and Turkey. And the reason we don't have a homeland, we were divided in the 1920s by Britain and the French. And we were promised a homeland, but unfortunately we were never given a homeland. And there's about 4 million Kurdish refugees that live in Europe. And as you see what's happening in Ukraine, same thing has happened to us in the last 100 years of ethnic cleansing, genocide. There's a lot, but my family became a refugee in 1981 when Iraq invaded Iran. When they invaded, our family home was bombed, and even my grandmother, she nearly lost her whole arm. But and then when the Iraqi army invaded, they were told to move on to Iraq. So there was about 12,000 Kurdish people ended up in Iraq. And I had many relatives that got killed in that war, and many cousins on my dad's, uncles, and unfortunately that's what happens, And sometimes, I think only in the last couple of months, people starting to get to know what it's like to be a refugee, because people don't actually know till it's near their border because of Ukraine crisis. And anyway, I'll keep this short. So my family ended up in a refugee camp in Iraq for about close to 22 years, from 1980 to 2002. And from 1986 to 88, my dad was a Peshmerga fighter. And so he actually ended up fighting against Iraq and Iran, because with all my other uncles and cousins, and sometimes I have a lot of my dad's friends. There's close to around 1,500 Kurds that were in that refugee camp, and they all live in Ireland. And sometimes they all meet up, and they always talk about, my dad's friends that live here. They'd be all close to their 70s now, and they always talk about the 1986. They were saying, we fought against Iraq, we fought against Iran. How could we win this war fighting with illegal Kalashnikovs? Because they were saying we always use a praise award. We've no friends but mountains. Many Kurds, when Saddam used to attack us, the Iraqi government will attack us from the south, and then we'll have the Iranians attacking us from the west, and then we have the Turks attacking us from the north. And then we'll have the Syrians, and we were surrounded by, we always say we were surrounded by Arabs, Persians. We couldn't beat them in a war, but we could. One thing about us, we always kept our Kurdish language alive, and they were always trying to change our culture. And one thing we did, we always kept our language, and we just wanted. We don't want really a Kurdistan, but if we were treated equally, we wouldn't be looking for a Kurdistan. And so anyway, in 1988, when the Iraq-Iran war ended, and my dad just gave up. Obviously, he had a couple of young kids at that age. We were based in Kurdistan. Kurdistan's in northern Iraq, and so they snuck back into the refugee camp. So they had nowhere to go, and so then then obviously the UN came to rescue, and in 2002 we came to Ireland as a political program refugee, and we ended up in lovely Leitrim, and I always say life begins in Leitrim, and and the experience moving to Ireland, it was an amazing journey, because I remember now trying to look back. I was an 11-year-old when we left. It was just, we were surrounded by oil fields, and coming to Ireland, it was just green, and it was just beautiful. You know, it was two different types of smell. You know, you were smelling petrol and gas over there, and then coming here smelling the cows. But yeah, and then obviously when I came here, I didn't speak a word of English, and then when I started in the school, and it was a bit of hard work from the start, because I was speaking Kurdish and I was speaking a little bit of Arabic, because in Iraq we were surrounded by Arabs, as we say, and a lot of my parents and my older brothers would all speak 4 languages fluent, between Arabic, Farsi. But they mightn't be able to write in them 4 languages, but they'll speak it fluently. So when I started in primary school and started off playing hurling and Gaelic in St. Mary's in Carrick-on-Shannon, and from there on, kind of life just started to kick in, and sports, hurling and Gaelic, played a big part, especially in my family. And we made more friends, and a lot of jobs all my family got. It was the same in Leitrim. Then we moved to Dublin. Same thing because of sports. And we integrated quicker because of sports, because when we were in a refugee camp, I remember if you could about 40 to 50 kids, we'd be playing soccer, and we'd only have one football between about 50 of us, and we'd play about 10 aside. Every 10 minutes we'd take turns. But that football brought that 50 kids from that refugee camp, and we were all from different parts of Kurdistan, of Iran. And we ended up becoming closer because of that football. And then it kind of reminds me, in Ireland, when I was in Carrick-on-Shannon, when I was playing Gaelic and hurling, it was the same thing. Not everybody that played hurling and Gaelic that was from Carrick. They were all from different parts of Leitrim. And even when I was down there playing hurling, and you had fellas from North Leitrim, South, West, from all over the place. And to me, it was amazing what sports does, especially GAA for me. It's my love, and so I've been here close to 20 years, and hurling and Gaelic and sports, soccer, running. I played all sports, and that kind of has brought me closer to Ireland, and I feel I have a Kurdish blood with an Irish heart. I'll keep it. I could go on here all day, talk about my family and history and sports, but I'll keep this short. Thanks for having me.